Hello students. So in this lecture we are going to see two different techniques. One is called as a molecular beam epitaxy technique, and second technique is called as a flame spray pyrolysis technique. So as you can see, the name molecular beam epitaxy. Okay, this is the name of the technique by which we are able to deposit an epitaxial thin film. Okay, this technique is also called as MBE technique. So as you can see, word by word, at molecular level there is a growth is take place. So we consider this system under the bottom up approach. Then there is a beam. Okay, as you can imagine, there is a beam of molecules of your precursor materials, okay, of your target materials, and we call this as a beam because they are traveling, okay, from the illusion cell or Kuntzen cell. Okay, so these are the kind of cell where we are going to keep our target materials, and then once they vaporize, then they are traveling without any collision. So their mean free path is very high. In that sense, we call this kind of an flying of molecules in the form of a beam. Okay, and then the last word is epitaxy. Okay, so this is an beauty of this technique, that you are able to grow an epitaxial film. So what is called as an epitaxy? Let us try to understand this technique. Okay, so epitaxy is a Greek word. Okay, and you can break this word into ep and taxi. So ep is nothing but above, and taxis is meaning of an ordered manner. So something is growing above the substrate in an ordered manner. Okay, so there is a growth of one above the another, but in an ordered manner. Okay, for example, suppose if we have a small cubes. Okay, if we have a small cubes, and when you connect all these small cubes, suppose you get a substrate. Okay, and when you are keeping the other layer, then it should be also the shape of that other material should be also in the form of cubes. Okay, so you cannot keep a spherical or triangle, okay, shaped material on the cubic substrate. Okay, so this is the called as an ordered manner. Okay, growth in an ordered manner. Let us try to understand this, that there are two ways of epitaxial growth. One is homoepitaxy. When the thin crystal layer lattice is the same as that of the substrate. Okay, for example, silicon film on silicon substrate. Now one thing you have to keep in mind, that if we want an epitaxial thin film, then the necessary condition is that the substrate should be single crystalline in nature. Okay, it cannot be an amorphous substrate like glass. So if you take a amorphous substrate like glass, then it is not possible to grow an epitaxial thin film on glass substrate, because there is no order in the substrate. Okay, there is no lattice ordering in the substrate, so there is no ordering in the growth film. Okay, so if somebody is interested in epitaxial thin film, the most important condition regarding the substrate is the substrate should be single crystalline in nature. So let us consider that if you have taken a silicon single crystal substrate. Okay, so if you have silicon as a single crystal substrate, and if you are depositing silicon film with the help of MBE technique, then you get an epitaxial silicon thin film on silicon substrate, and this kind of epitaxial thin film is called as homoepitaxy. The second way is that now here in homoepitaxy you can imagine that the lattice parameter of the substrate and lattice parameter of the thin film is matching to each other. Okay, and that's why you are getting a high quality single crystalline silicon thin film on the substrate of silicon. The second case is heteroepitaxy. Now in this case, when the thin crystal layer lattice is different from that of the substrate, it means the lattice constant, okay, of the substrate is not matching with the lattice constant or lattice parameters of the deposited thin film. Okay, if this is the case, then what you are getting as an epitaxial film is called as heteroepitaxy. The example is, suppose you have silicon single crystal as a substrate, and now we are going to deposit gallium arsenic on the silicon substrate. Then the lattice parameters of gallium arsenic is not exactly matching with the lattice parameters of silicon. Okay, so but in that case there is an ordered growth take place, so that there is a formation of epitaxial thin film. Okay, so thin film growth in molecular beam epitaxy should be carried out under ultra high vacuum. Okay, so it is called as ultra high vacuum because the pressure should be as low as 10 raised to minus 10 torr. Okay, so this is the very low pressure, and in most of the other techniques 10 raised to minus 5 torr to 10 raised to minus 7 torr is enough, but here you can see this is one of the important parameter, that if you want to use this molecular beam epitaxy to grow the epitaxial thin film, then the pressure should be as low as 10 raised to minus 10 torr, which is called as ultra high vacuum. We generally say vacuum, high vacuum, and now this is working under ultra high vacuum. The beams are created by heating a source of material. Okay, so beam of what? Beam of your target atoms, materials atoms. Okay, so the beam are created by or generated by heating a source material in an effusion or Kunsen cell. So the cavities where we are going to keep our target material, okay, is called as effusion or Kunsen cell. So this is a this is the an area where in this cell you are going to keep your initial target materials. Okay, and once you keep this your material in the effusion or Kuntzen cell, then you have to heat it so that it started to vaporize. The term beam simply means that the evaporated atoms do not interact with each other. This is very important condition which you can observe in MBE technique, that the evaporated atoms, they are not interacting with each other or any other vacuum chamber gases until they reach the vapor. So without any interaction or collision, they are just reaching from this Kuntzen cell to the substrate. So your vapor is nothing but the substrate. This is possible due to long mean free path of the beams. Okay, and because there is an ultra high vacuum, it is possible that without collision these evaporated metal atoms have a very long mean free path, and that's why we particularly call this flying of these atoms is called as an beam. The sources can be either solid or gaseous, and an MBE machine have an array of multiple sources to produce alternating heterostructures. So one thing you have to understand is that your initial precursor, okay, can be either in the form of solid or gas. In the both ways you are able to use the precursor. Okay. Second thing is that suppose if you want to make an heterostructure means so hetero means more than one. Okay. So if your deposition involves more than one layer, it for example, suppose you are interested to deposit 5 nanometer of gallium arsenic, then 10 nanometer of aluminum arsenic, then again 5 nanometer of gallium arsenic, then in that case you need multiple sources, okay, where you can keep your target materials. Okay. So it has a large number of effusion or Kuntzen cell so that you are able to deposit the heterostructures. Okay. So either you can use these precursors in the form of a solid or in the form of a gases, but there is an arrangement that you may have a large number of effusion or Kuntzen cell. So a big advantage of this molecular beam epitaxy is that you are able to deposit semiconductor quantum wells. Okay. So suppose you have a semiconductor in between two semiconductor, suppose you have an insulating material, okay, then it acts as an quantum well. Okay. So the semiconductor quantum well, super lattices is possible to deposit, quantum wires and metallic or magnetic multi-layers. Okay. So such kind of, suppose you have two metals and in between two metals you want an ultra thin metal oxide, or if you have two metal oxides and in between you want an ultra thin metal, then all these kind of complicated structures is able to synthesize, to deposit by using this molecular beam epitaxy technique. So as you can see, this slide is basically representing you the schematic representation of molecular epitaxy setup, and corresponding MBE machine is also shown in this slide. So as you can see on the left hand side, the schematic representation or of MBE setup has been adapted from the Max Planck from the website of Max Planck Institute for Solid State Research, where you can see that there is a blue colored chamber. Okay. So whenever you are talking about vacuum, then then you must have a chamber to evacuate so that you can achieve the required pressure. Okay. So in this case, we have to go to the low pressure as low as 10 raised to minus 10 torr. Okay. So for that kind of very ultra high vacuum, you need a very sophisticated and leak proof, okay, a chamber. Okay. So you can see there is a this is a chamber, okay, and you can see that the effusion cell or Kuntzen cell, they are inserted, okay, inserted from outside. Okay. These cells, the effusion cells, they are inserted to the chamber from outside. Okay. Inside the chamber, there is a holder which is called as a sample holder, where you can attach your substrate or vapor on which you want to grow the epitaxial film, and then you have an arrangement of heating the temperature of the substrate, as well as you can rotate the substrate with some RPM for getting homogeneous thin film. Then you can see that the pump is connected to the chamber for the generation of vacuum. Okay. And then you can also see that some residual gas can also be inserted as per the requirement. Then apart from this, there are other techniques are attached to the chamber. For example, there is an electron gun, okay, so that the electron can get diffracted from this substrate, and you have an electron camera where you can basically detect this diffracted electron beam, and so that it is possible for you to get in situ characterization during in situ characterization of these thin films. In situ characterization is called when you are characterizing the samples during its growth process. Okay. So it is not after the deposition of the thin film, it is during the deposition of thin film. What is the quality of the deposited material can be understood with the help of in situ tools, and most of the in situ tools are connected to the system, and that's why the system becomes more complicated. Okay. So it looks like, so it is shown in the right hand side image, where this is an actual photograph of how the molecular beam epitaxial machine looks like. Okay. And you can see that large number of effusion cells, they are connected from the bottom. Okay. The main chamber is shown there, and then you can see there is a detector and source of electron. Okay. And there is a shutters are kept there. So this is an important parameter, where you can see the shutter is there. The shutter is exactly above the effusion cell. You can see that there are some mechanical shutters are placed, and they are exactly above the effusion cell. So the shutters are basically useful whether you want to deposit that material or you don't want to deposit that material. So you can close the shutter so that that material is not going to reach up to the wafer. But once you open the shutter, then only it allows that material from the effusion cell to the vapor or the substrate. Okay. So this is an importance of the shutter. So all these things are attached, and there are a lot of in situ characterization techniques are also attached to this, and most of the MBE machines are operated with are controlled, all the parameters of the MBE machines are controlled with the help of the computer. Okay. Computer programming. Okay. So this is how the molecular beam epitaxial machine looks like. Okay. So let us try to understand what is the MBE deposition principle, how there is an epitaxial growth of this material take place on the substrate. And in this case, we are going to take a special example of gallium arsenic deposition on silicon substrate. Okay, so before going to actual to that example, let us try to understand from the schematic that how this deposition is carried out in the MBE technique. Okay, that can be represented in the schematic image. As you can see, we have a substrate which is single crystalline. Okay, so let us assume that we have a substrate which is made up of small cubes. Okay, because it is single crystalline, so all cubes are well connected to each other, and there is no grain boundary. Okay, now you can see that these light gray colored blocks are basically represent you the substrate. Okay, and the dark gray colored blocks is nothing but the material which you are trying to deposit, okay, with the help of MBE technique. Then initially what happens is that the beam of atom it get impinged on the surface of the substrate. Okay, so there is a first step is A, which is represented by impinging atom from the beam. Okay, second step is B, that is the surface diffusion. So once the atom get impinged on the surface of the substrate, what happens? It is not going to stick there without any movement. So it happens is that there is a diffusion, there is a surface diffusion of this atom, okay, towards the lattice. Okay, so it is not like that where it get impinged, it get stuck there only. Okay, so this is the beauty of epitaxial thin film, is that the growth is take place, okay, by surface diffusion of these atoms. So this atom is get surface diffusion, it find in all direction, and it find some lattice already where the lattice formation is already formed. Okay, so it started to incorporate in that lattice. Okay, then so C is lattice incorporation. Okay, and the D is the desorption. Okay, desorption means some of the atoms they are going bounce back. Okay, so they are not going to remain on the surface of the substrate, and in that case there is a desorption can also take place. Okay, so important thing is there is an impinge, the atoms get impinged from the beam on the surface of the substrate, then they diffuse through this on the surface of the substrate, and then finally they incorporate into the lattice, and this is the way that how they form another lattice on the on the surface of the substrate. There is one more case is that interdiffusion. So some of the atoms they get interdiffused in the substrate if there is a any kind of defect, or sometimes it just get diffused inside the substrate. So this process has to be slow. Okay, because there are steps, and we want the epitaxial thin film, so it should be slow, but it should be well controlled deposition rate, that is 1 to 300 nanometer per minute. So it is possible to grow the thin film with the rate of 1 nanometer per minute to at the max 300 nanometer per minute. But in both the cases the quality of the thin film should remain same, that is epitaxial. Okay, so let us try to understand, if we want to deposit gallium arsenide, then what we have to do. So in solid source MBE, okay, where we are using precursor in the form of solid. So ultra pure elements such as gallium and arsenic are heated in separate effusion cell. So for first condition is that they should be ultra pure. Okay, there should not be impurity in the initial precursors like gallium and arsenic. because if there are impurities, then your final product, your final thin film will come with the impurities, and it will not be on epitaxial. Okay. So you need an ultra pure element such as gallium and arsenic, and they should be kept in different two separate effusion cells, and once we are heating the effusion cells, then they begin to slowly evaporate. The evaporated elements then condense on the vapor. Okay, once they start to evaporate, then what happens? They, as I said, that you have to open the shutter. Once you open the shutter, then the beam of these atoms, okay, just go and deposit on the wafer, where they may interact as shown in the figure. So, as we have already discussed what type of interactions are going on the surface of the substrate. In the example of gallium and arsenic, single crystal gallium arsenic crystal is formed due to homoepitaxy. So, even if your substrate is silicon single crystal, what the final product of your gallium arsenic thin film will be also a single crystalline. Okay, single crystalline epitaxial thin film. The substrate is rotated to ensure even growth over its surface. So, as I said, the substrate should be in rotating condition just to confirm the better homogeneity over the entire substrate. By incorporating mechanical shutters in front of the cells, it is possible to control which semiconductor or metal is deposited, because you see there are a number of effusion or Kuntz cells are there, okay, and you can also use number of gases you can insert. But suppose when you are trying to make a heterostructure, okay, then maybe after a certain interval of time you have to deposit other element, right? So in that case the shutter plays an important role. For example, opening the gallium and arsenic cell shutters, okay, when we open the shutter for gallium and arsenic, then it results in the growth of gallium arsenic, okay. But now I don't want to deposit gallium arsenic. Suppose I want to deposit aluminum arsenic, then what I have to do? I have to close the shutter for gallium, I have to open the shutter for aluminum. Okay. So when I open the shutter for aluminum, then the aluminum arsenic started to grow. So likewise you can make multi layers of different composition. As the shutters can be switched rapidly in comparison to rate at which material is deposited, it is possible to grow very thin layers exhibiting very sharp interfaces. Okay. So interface is very important, because suppose your material's thin film's thickness is in the range of 5 nanometer gallium arsenic, 5 nanometer aluminum arsenic, 5 nanometer gallium arsenic. So in that case the interface is nothing but the phase which is exactly from where the gallium arsenic is going to end and aluminum arsenic is going to start. So they should be sharp. Okay, they are sharp because the shuttering process is quite fast. Okay, so what you are getting is very sharp interface, and this can all be controlled with the help of computers. Okay, so most of the MBE machines, they are combined with set of in situ tools. Okay, in situ I already explained that if you are interested in the growth mechanism, in the growth kinetics, okay, and if you are interested in the material science, then you have to use number of in situ techniques such as Auger electron spectroscopy and reflection high energy electron diffraction. It is called as RHEED. Okay, RHEED. So this is the reflection high energy electron diffraction. So basically it helps you to understand how many layers of gallium arsenic has been got deposited, monolayer or 2 layers or 3 layers or 4 layers, atomic layers is going to deposit. And once it is 5 nanometer is completed, then immediately your shutter for gallium has got closed and shutter for aluminum is open, and then the system repeats. So these are the ways where you can during the deposition helps you to get the high quality of the thin films of different heterostructures. Okay, so these are the advantages and disadvantages of molecular beam epitaxy. As you can see, there are several benefits of these molecular beam epitaxy. That is a clean surface which is free of oxide layer. Okay, so that is an whatever you are getting, the quality of the final product is not oxidized. Okay, you get a very high quality thin films. That is, second is the good control of layer thickness and composition. Low growth rate, that is 1 micrometer per hour in most of the epitaxial. If you want a single crystalline epitaxial thin film, okay, then the growth rate should be as low as possible. Okay, so get a high material purity, precisely controlled, controllable thermal evaporation, separate evaporation of each component take place. Okay, so if you want, you have 10 effusion cell, but out of 10 suppose you want only 2 or only 3, then it is possible. It is not like that the same system is connected for all effusion cell at the same time. So you have a separate evaporation of each component. Then substrate temperature is not high. Okay, substrate temperature, you don't need very high temperature for the growth. For the growth you can keep low substrate temperature. The big drawback of this molecular beam epitaxy is that this is the most expensive synthesis technique. Okay, so you can see that its cost goes around 10 to $6. That is $1 billion per MBE chamber. Okay, per MBE machine, its cost goes very high. So that's why it is not that common in the laboratories. Okay, so in a very sophisticated laboratories, this MBE machine is available. And this is very complicated system because, as I said, you have lot of in situ tools to diagnose the growth mechanism, and because of that it is not that remains simple. You have lot of complicated system. Then the epitaxial growth under ultra high vacuum condition has to carry out. The problem with ultra high vacuum is that most of the times if there is a small leakage is there, then you will not be able to get the ultra high vacuum. So you have to maintain the system so that every time it has to reach to that ultra high vacuum condition. So you have to maintain the greasing and the gaskets. Okay, so you have to degas the system after the depositions has been carried out. So there are so many things has to be maintained so that every time you are able to reach the ultra high vacuum. Okay, so this is a not an easy task to maintain the ultra high vacuum every time. Okay. So this is the all about molecular beam epitaxy technique.